Hello, 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 YouTube land. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me before I commence this show. Bless up, Jeremiah. Bless up, Chorus, Winston Fowling. Thanks for being here. Let me guys know if you can hear me before I start. I'm make sure I'm coming through loud and clear. Can you hear me? Let me know. Hey, Jeremiah, can you hear me? Loud and clear. Well, welcome. Enough news in the news today. I was supposed to start the show at 7 p.m. and I decided to start earlier because it's a lot of stuff to go over and I don't plan to do more than 2 hours. Frankly, if I do reach 2 hours, I may just stop the show and start a new one. And we'll see how that works out. But it's a good day to talk football in general. We always have other things I want to talk about. But we're going to jump into, because we know no fun, I just want to talk Reggae Boyz football. We're going to talk Reggae Girlz. We're going to talk Reggae Boyz. But we're going to talk about other things also. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the journey. Bless Colin Van Home. Sound like a Danish name. And this is my so I associate names. Bless up, Jeremiah. Appreciate you guys being here. So I was on a conference call today. You know what? Before I jump into that, let me touch upon this because there's enough to talk about. First thing I'm going to talk about is some protocol things. I was listening to somebody's YouTube channel, and bless up, Chris. And they were asking people, as you come into the chat, just hit the like button. And they were talking about some players who they believe do not have the requisite skill set to be in the national team or in the 60-man provisional squad. And we'll go to the squad. We'll even pick our own team, right? What bothered me about the conversation was they were very dismissive, and the statements they used to describe the players were derogatory. And I think we need to change, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? XYZ doesn't have the skill set we think we need or the attributes we need to do a job, right? Nothing wrong with doing that. You may call it criticism. You may call it an honest opinion, whatever you may want to call it. But it's not okay to call somebody scavenger or waste or garbage or all these other things. And I know it sounds good to some people because it's divisive. It goes viral. We like to knock each other, but that cannot be okay because we would like no one to call us virus or scavenger or waste. Bless up Melshire, Tycoon, and Jay, right? We shouldn't do unto others as we don't like others to do unto us. It's not okay. And look, I'm sure I may have been guilty of the same thing when I first came on YouTube years ago. So maybe I'm trying to clean up my act, but I do realize that the world is changing in a direction that it's just not a good thing. And maybe we all just following how Trump and others operate, where historically, Americans in general, I'm gonna call it Americans, would be very dismissive of the rest of the world and people about, Putin is doing this, why don't the citizens change it? Or this person in Africa is doing this, why don't they change it? Now we're understanding how the process works. When you have the power of the gun behind you and the structure behind you and the machinery and mechanism and system behind you, the citizens could do what they want to do. You can just destroy their rights and they have no say, right? So I would say to those, and that's why us in YouTube land, who are now new media, get a lot of bad name about being divisive, disruptive, and people have no time for us because we can be toxic, frankly. Very, very toxic. Bless up, Hope Tan Spalding. Thanks for being here, Chorus. We're calling people names. Like I call Rudolph Conflicts boss. Some people may say that's not a good name, but I call him Conflicts because he's conflicted, and I'm gonna play something where he says he's not conflicted, right? But I try not to go over the line. I try my best. I may call you a name, but I'm not gonna call you waste and if I think you're incompetent, I'm gonna say you're incompetent, right? Especially if you're in administration. But as a player who is a professional, I'm not gonna say you're a waste. I'm not gonna say you're a scavenger. I may say you're not good enough. I may say you have to get better. I may say you don't fit with my team, what we're trying to do. I am trying to have people use euphemism. I use language which can be criticism, but this not distasteful language. right? And I heard somebody today talking, and I was like, and by the way, this is a smart YouTuber, right? I'm not saying some YouTubers are not smart, because I'm gonna get the grief, but this one YouTuber I consider to be a smart person, and he can do better, and he should do better. And I want us in this space to continue to evolve and to get better, and to have some of the same protocols and some of the things how traditional media operate, because they do have their own protocols. Some of them may be conflicted. Some of them may have been acquired and bought, frankly, but at least the language they use a lot of times is digestible language. And the YouTube space, obviously, is the Wild West in a lot of ways. And if YouTubers continue to operate that way, sometimes you're going to get shut down. You're going to get shut down. In fact, the defamation laws in Jamaica, I'm sure, does mitigate some of that. All right. So let's do better, people. And as you come in the chat, please hit the like button. Now, I want to play some video first. But before I do that, I got to touch up on a couple of things, because I'm passionate about certain things. My New York Knicks people. So I come on this channel and I get grief about my New York Knicks. We are in the final of the Eastern Conference basketball, NBA basketball. Finals of conference, and I'm so very happy for my Knicks. Now, I will admit, not to be a hypocrite, I thought Boston would kick her. You know what? They beat us 4-0 in the season. Frankly, we didn't win a game against the three teams that won 60 games. We were 10 against them, 2 against Oklahoma, 4 Cleveland, 4 Boston. But the difference is, people, and you see how when you have all your parts available to you, how better you can be. And people don't realize this. Mitchell Robinson coming back changes everything. Defense matters, people. So when we look at sports, we focus on offense. You look at Mitchell Robinson's stats as it relates to his plus minus when he's in the game, it's off the chart, and he can't even shoot a free throw because he intimidates and he annihilates and he mitigates and he doesn't look at eights. He does a lot of that. So Mitchell Robinson, best up to you. I thought they may have traded you when you first came back. I thought they would have tried to get another big man because you're always injured. But when you're fit, you're the bomb. So bless up to the Knicks. Secondly, EPL. Arsenal made the top 4, top 2. We got our butts kicked yesterday by Newcastle, but we couldn't. But we won the game. Raya was off the chart. Created some of his own problem, but off the chart good as a keeper. I will say this though. I heard Maverick today. I listened to Maverick for 5 minutes and I turned him off. I must have met man's people. So he was talking about a team that doesn't win can play better. And you should go look in Google, look it up. Now the question is, how do you define better? So if I bombard your goal all game, I miss 100 chances, clear-cut chances, like the one that Salah missed today, wide open goal, and you get 1 breakaway and scored, you played better. I want to Jamaica struggle. Can I find better? And the bad thing about his show is he never gets the nonsense meter, which means he never talks nonsense. And a lot of people can get the nonsense meter, which means he's always perfect, never talks nonsense, and you always talk nonsense. That's why you get the nonsense meter. If you haven't talked, it must sound like he's Donald Trump. You ever talk about a rigged system? That's a rigged system. What else do I have? Oh, I want to jump on this. So I have 3 more topics to go over. One is I want to talk through the Jamaica citizenship process. And if you heard the press conference today, I did ask the question of Coach Busby about the process for gaining naturalization citizenship in Jamaica, because I get the sense it's a challenge for a lot of people who are trying to get citizenship, who are athletes, right? Especially footballers. So ugly win is better than pretty loss, yeah. Are pretty, is it that ugly win is better than pretty loss? Whatever that is. It was a contradictory statement. I'm sure it was probably a little bit different. But maybe that's the rationale actually. So if you hear Coach Busby talk, if you hear McLaren talk, if you hear other people talk who are in position of say administration or in the football, you get the sense there's a lot of frustration about the naturalization process. It came to me that Demari Gray and Michael Antonio took them about 2 years to get naturalized. Now, the passport And Citizenship Immigration Organization, which is PICA, is the one that administers the whole process for granting citizenship and passport, right? And as I've said before, I went through the process and it was pretty seamless for me. In fact, it was much easier than I thought it would be. It was easier to get my U.S. citizenship, to be frank. And it was easier than getting some of my relatives. I got a couple of my nieces and nephews British citizenship, which they're due, and that took a while to do. That was an intensive process. I had to get a lawyer for that process to get that done. And the concept was no different from trying to get citizenship in Jamaica, utilizing your descendants as the criteria to obtain a citizenship. When I tried to do it in England, I ventured to get a lawyer. You could have done, well, it was funny. In England, I did the process for two of them. One supposedly got it, and it took them a year to notify me she got it. So I went through again to a lawyer for her to get it, and they told me, oh, we gave it to you already. You didn't send me the papers. Oh, bunch of, you know what. And then for the other one, it took about another year. So the point I'm trying to make is that I don't think Jamaica process is as draconian as it may appear, but there is frustration about the process. People, as you come in, hit the like button. You have about 50-something people. We have 34 likes. That's not okay. So let me just walk through the process a little bit. Then I'll touch upon the press conference that Simon moderated today, where Cuz Bowsby talked about the Reggae Girlz who are going to play the USA. Lord help us. And then we'll talk Reggae Boyz, which is the provisional squad, and we can pick out what we deem to be the 23. So if you look at the process for citizenship, and let me see if I can pull this up. It's an interesting process, actually. And it's not, I don't think, to be honest, that it's the most complicated process. I'll admit. But I don't know what's happening, because part of the problem that we face is this. You know, a lot of Jamaicans, you know, how do I say it nicely? Because we don't want nobody can beat me, you know. They are into, what do you call it, bandulu business? The bandulu business people. And they watch bandulu thing. And because they do the bandulu thing, sometimes they travel under assumed names. It's not their real names. Or they have to camouflage who they are. And so when their descendants now are trying to go to the citizen process, it's more complicated. Or in Jamaica, historically, they may have spelled your name wrong. Because I have a friend of mine, I've mentioned this before, took her a year to get her name right, even though she was born in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica, migrated to the US I think in her late teens, and her name was spelled wrong. She had to go through this whole, when you have to do that, I think that's what the process is so difficult. You have to go through a whole, I don't know what you call it, interrogation and find papers and all sort of stuff. She had to go back to her high school, and she's past 50 people, and she go get records. Luckily they keep them. I know they still keep those records. The process she went through was draconian to me anyway. But I guess PICA has to do their job. And I do think that PICA, here's what I think. The JFF needs to have more influence in Jamaica, period. Because you hear certain people say they know everybody and they can't do anything. They don't have enough influence to me. I'll tell you the truth. There should be a process in place, whether through the Ministry of Sports or otherwise, or in any other disciplines. If you're an engineer, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you have certain skill sets, which it deems to be of national interest, you shouldn't be going to the normal everyday process that I went through, right? I should go to the normal everyday process. I ain't got no specialized skill set. But if you have certain skill set that the country deems valuable, there should be what I call a VIP process or an expedited process. Now, there's an expedited process. You can pay for your passport and get it in say 15 versus 45 days, whatever that entails. But I'm talking about a better process, which is, okay, you're a footballer, you're a netballer, you're a track and field athlete, you're an engineer. You will then be able to go to some special designated area where they work with you to figure out what you have, what you need, and help to get it done. And it doesn't take forever, right? And I'm not sure why it is. Winston Fowling is saying, Kranky, there's a YouTuber on right now saying MG rejected the 60-man provisional squad. What does that mean? Is MG military gooner? I'm not sure what that means. None of these ballers' skill set is of no national interest. Well, I mean, parish council, it depends on how one wants to define national interest. A sport that supports, that help people that is a sport which we all enjoy, you could classify it as national interest. Depends on how you want to classify national interest. Right? Paris Council said the national team is not a transfer market. Lose with who you have or be so. Okay. Sound like this is a person who wants just local players in the team. But I guess they're not going to get citizenship. So Parish Council, you and I are on different sides of the fence. It's your opinion, and you can stick to it. I'll stick to mine. I think they're of national interest. I don't know. It's your perspective, sir. I have no problem with it. If you believe you win with what you have, which means you want the local players, who many believe are not at the right level, then people like yourself should work with the organization to get the players to be at the right level. And also, here's the problem I have with your problem, you think, Parish Council. Then you're saying people who have descendants of Jamaican heritage. So their parents migrated overseas for a better life and they grew up in a Jamaican household and want to be Jamaican citizen. They're not important. That's what you're saying. Oh, Mason Greenwood. Okay. Yeah, I heard the story, Mason Greenwood. I'll touch upon that too when we get to the squad people. I'll touch upon that. I think some people are making statements. They have no credence. They lose credibility when they make statements they don't know behind the scenes what transpiring. Right? They're making statements which they have no evidence to substantiate. They're making it sound good. People like it. They run away with it. Fine. That's their prerogative. I'm not going to entertain it because I know better. In fact, I know that it's not the case. So I'm not going to go into that. But let me just keep going. I'm going to go into the citizenship process, people. So if you are trying to get Jamaican citizenship, so I want to walk you through. Because I think it's important for those who are trying to get it. And people like Parish Council don't want people like me, from what he's saying. I'm just going to get what you're saying, Parish Council, to be Jamaican citizens because we didn't born on the Little Rock. I did grow up on the Rock. I did go to primary school in Jamaica. I did go to high school in Jamaica. My parents took me there when I was about 3.5, 4 years old. So you're saying, from what you're saying, I should not be a Jamaican citizen. By that token, then no Jamaicans who migrate to any country, the UK, America, or Canada, or anyone else, should become citizens of that country. And that country shouldn't value them, shouldn't give them the right to vote, shouldn't do anything. That's what you're saying, Parish Council, right? If I'm getting what you're saying correctly. Really interesting. But anyway, let's go to the process. I can not focus on Parish Council anymore. But Parish Council is your prerogative, sir. We won't talk about that anymore. Let me go through this, frankly, a little bit, because I think it's important. No, this is not what I want. And why is that this like the way it is? No, I brought up the wrong one. Let me take it down and bring up another one. But it's a citizenship process. Let me bring up another one. So this is it. So this is my schedule I put up. But it's not the one I want to put up. I want to put up another schedule where is the real form that you get from this is my schedule. I put this together. So if anybody want to download it, that's up to them, of what I deem to be what is needed. But I want to show the official forms, which I have here, but it won't come up. The official forms that we get, that you have from PICA, that that shows you the citizenship. Okay, I got it now. So this one is the official form, right? There's the form here. It has descent. So if you're a descendant, by the way, Parish Council, just for your information, Jamaica does allow people who have Jamaican descent to become citizens. So Parish Council, you have a problem with it because you sound like a football guru type person. You guys should lobby the Jamaica government to change its laws and don't allow any of us who were born in Jamaica to be citizens, right? And also don't allow any of us to send any money back to Jamaica who may have been descendants of Jamaica, or the people who migrate, don't allow any of them to send any money back to Jamaica. So how many billions that they get Jamaican remittance, you should have that cut off, frankly. I think that should be done. I totally agree with your Parish Council. Those remittance money, all those billions that sent back to Jamaica, it should not be sent. Those people overseas who are buying homes in Jamaica and helping to drive the economy, they should not be allowed to do so. You guys should just do your thing on the island, sell your agricultural product, and make the progress you make. Anyway, so here's the form. There's an application form. The form does show you claimant's information, address. I'll go through another form, people. I'm just giving you what this form looks like. This is the official form. Then it has what you need in the back here. Qualifications, the procedure you need to go through, XYZ, right? This is that. I did put together my own form, which I want to show you if I can find it. So this is the form I put together. And you can see the form. It's the same form, but a different I use a more PDF. So you see what it's entail? So the form will show you the application type. So you put in, I'm trying to do this. So you see the section there talks about citizenship by descent, etc. Your name, your birth date, a lot of information. Your an important thing is your nationality, your passport, address, etc., and also your heritage information. So name of a Jamaican ancestry, who's related to you. It goes up to great grandparent, actually, grandparent and great grandparent, not just grandparent, and the ancestor's date of birth. Now, this is important. A lot of times, what happens is when you get to like grandparent and great grandparent, and they have traveled overseas under their assumed name, it becomes really complicated. So people will know that, yes, this kid is of Jamaican heritage, but boy, to prove it, it's difficult. It's impossible. And then they have a section here about your immigration history. So the date of first lawful entry to Jamaica. This is where you're naturalizing by naturalization. So you have to live 5 years in Jamaica. But there's other information here. So you can do by ancestry, or if you live in Jamaica. It does actually going to live in Jamaica, not live in Jamaica. Your supporting documents are here. Your birth certificate, your parents' birth certificate, certificate of citizenship, where you're adopted. You have to get 2 passport picture. It need to be. I don't remember having mine notified by Justice of the Peace under the Republic. When I did this, I don't remember this happening. It's there in the whole process. I don't remember this happening. I don't remember doing this, frankly. And I did this last year. If you change your name, you have your marriage certificate, you have a valid ID. If you're over 18, if your parents have ID or passport. I use my mom's birth certificate, for example. And if it's a legal adopted, that whole process. So this is sort of basically what you need. It's a template. People can just use this template if they want to figure out what I need and how I need to do it. And I think it's important because I did ask Busby this question today, because I got the sense that in some areas, if you look at the rugby team or the lacrosse team, they don't have no problem getting naturalized. But certain other disciplines, it's a challenge. And it does beg the question, why is it so hard for some and different for others? Right? But I do think what I think should happen is they gotta have some special designation within PICA and that lays with any organization that want to do this. Right? I don't know why it's so difficult, but I get the sense that there's frustration, and probably on both sides, about what documentation is provided by individuals who are requesting citizenship, and PICA's process, which is deemed to be slow and draconian. There are a number of people who are trying to get Jamaican citizenship. Obviously, younger generation, through their grandparents mainly, but some, namely through their grandparents, where the documentation is not straightforward. It's difficult, extremely difficult. And some of these people have gone on to go represent other countries because they just can't deal with the process, because they may have triple nationality or things of that nature. So my hope is that going forward, that somebody, I don't know, somebody gave me a stat. I know when people say me in politics thing, and I come in, understand now. But it seemed like under certain governments, it's easier than under others. I'll just say that. Under some governments, it's much easier than under other governments. To not get myself in trouble, because I know how these things work. Now, my system here is messing up. I did hear today, I was listening to a YouTube thing, and I did hear, I'm gonna play something for you because I find it very, very funny, actually. And you guys gonna say, Kranky, you're still on this thing, but I can't help myself. I have to play it, because I heard this today. Let me see if I can play this one. So I was listening to something there and I heard this. And they can't tell me about this, Ifo. And if I haven't got your comments yet, because I'm just going through this process and I'm having difficulty with something on the screen, but let's try to do this. So you guys listen to this. It's a very short, less than a minute. Let's listen to this one. If you can hear it. And it ain't playing, so let me see what's happening here. It's on, it's connected. Yeah, it should play. Okay.
But a lot of you keep on talking. There's actually one director on the JFF board that works for Mount Pleasant. So you guys go and do your homework.
Does it make it easier for you going into the final?
I just think that you media is just too biased. And I must go do the homework and see how all of the people who want to say conflicted. I am one of the least conflicted person in Jamaica.
Good.
But
boy, I heard that today. I'm trying to digest the comment because I don't think Rudolph. I think Rudolph just talks sometime and not listen to what he said. Rudolph said he's one of the least conflicted people in Jamaica, right? And I think the point he's making is that you can make the point that others are conflicted. And as he's saying, if Mount Pleasant has somebody on the board, then he's saying they're probably as conflicted as he is, but that's not possible. Nobody always coaching in the Premier League who's the owner of a team in the Premier League, because the director don't own Mount Pleasant, right? And is the technical director. That's the epitome of conflict. So how are you going to say that you're the least conflicted person? That doesn't make, that's illogical. That's as illogical as it gets. It doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I didn't want to be able to point on and Rudolph on what he said, but it's not logical. It's just not logical. It's just not logical, Rudolph. You're not one of the least conflicted people in Jamaica. In fact, if I was to define conflict, I would use you as an example. That's all I'm saying. I won't belabor the point, but don't make that statement. How many Cavalier players? We'll go through it, Chris Smith. We'll go through it. There are some. Richard King. There's some of them in there. There's some players in there. I don't think it's more than Mount Pleasant, actually. But the 60-man squad to me doesn't really matter. It's the 23-man squad. People just throw together people in 60-man squad. Make people sometimes feel good, but it's not the yeah. I'm gonna go through the entire squad, people. So if I don't finish it, I'm gonna go back over it, right? I'm gonna go through the entire squad, 60-man squad. Now, do you guys want? Okay, here's where we go from here. Do you guys want me to go over the Busby news conference on the Reggae Girlz, or just go straight into, and maybe do it another time, and go straight into the Gold Cup provisional squad? Let me know. All right, let me know what you want me to do, and I will just follow your direction. I'm gonna wait for the response. 60-man squad, or I go through Busby's press conference, which I did attend, and then we can do, because if I don't do Busby today, I'm not gonna do Busby again. It's not gonna happen. Provisional. Everybody want provisional. Fine. We'll do provisional. All right, we'll do provisional. And even when we do provisional, I may just let me put up the 60-man squad. You know, I have it here. No, you know what? I'm not gonna use this one. Let me take this one down. I'm gonna use the one that I have in front of me. Let me use the one. Let me share the screen that I have in front of me. Stop screening. I'm going to use the one I have in front of me because I think that's an easier one to maneuver. I'll use this one. So let's go to the squad. This is Jamaica squad. If you go on the CONCACAF site, it's there. It has all the squads for all the countries participating. And the guys can read it. So if you go from top, what they actually do is they number from the, so they do the alphabet backwards, frankly. So they go from Stephen Young. If you go down, this is the whole squads, right? It's 60 right here, but let's go from here. So we have first Stephen Young from Portmore. So we have, if you look at Portmore, for example, 1, 2, 3 on the first page. But the first page, Cavalier has 2, 3, and look, let's be honest. Cavalier and not Portmore, but Cavalier and Mount Pleasant are the two top teams in Jamaica, right? Because Mount Pleasant has a few here also. So we'd expect all these semifinal teams to probably have more than anyone else if things work out where, unless you had a team that was very good but underperformed. But given how we expect things to operate, the 4 top teams would probably Mobay, Mount Pleasant, Cavalier, and Onyx Gardens. even though Art Gardens, I think, is not Portmore. Yeah, Arnett Gardens. We'd expect them to have most, and then the teams like Portmore, who are in the playoffs, would expect to have more, right? So let's go to the list. Stephen Young from Portmore, Patrick Ximenez from Portmore. We have Romario Williams, and Romario played last year and played at forward. He's from Indy 11. We have Benjamin Williams from Portmore. We have Shamar Watson from Cavalier. We have Jamali Dante or Jamal Waite. Shouldn't call him Dante. Jamal Waite. Let's use a common name. That's Jamal Waite from El Paso Locomotive. We have Ricardo Thomas from Arnett Gardens. Trevante Stewart from FK Raniki in Serbia. Jonathan Russell. And people have been calling for Jonathan Russell forever. Like forever. And the manager did say his friend told him about Jonathan Russell. It's what he usually say me. People say I beat the manager. I'm not beating the manager. You can't be a manager. And I said something, people. I'm going to digress a little bit. You know Busby coached the women team, right? Busby's always in Jamaica. Why is Busby always in Jamaica? And the men's coach and Busby's team probably have more overseas players than the Reggae Boyz national team. Right? And Busby recruit any and everywhere. And Busby don't really have no quota. This team has quota in it, no matter what, nobody want to tell you. May not be the expansive quota for the junior team, but this team has some quota. And Busby always in Jamaica. The Reggae Boyz coach is not always in Jamaica. He's in Jamaica now, but he's not always in Jamaica. But anyway, let me keep going. Bobby Reed. Now, I'm not sure if Bobby Reed is here. I was informed that Bobby Reed has an injury, which would keep him out for the entire summer. Maybe they expect a miraculous recovery. But I was told Bobby Reed, we don't know what Antonio's status is. Yeah, I know he's trying to come out for the Gold Cup. And then we had Bernard. See, Bernard, I didn't see Bernard here. Those were thought were more long-term injuries. And I didn't expect them back, but maybe they know something about Bob Reed. I don't know. Adrian Reed here from Cavalier, and he played last night. Ethan Pinnock, as we know, Brentford. Demario Phillips is always in and out of the team from Montego Bay United. Casey Palmer, Hull City. Shamar, who we know is in Mexico now. So Casey and Shamar were in the last squad. Malik Madasil. Now this player, JD has been calling for this player forever, right? If you look at his stats, he's in what? League One. I forgot the team he plays for, but I think he has about 20-something goal contribution, close to 1 and 2 goal contribution actually, which is really, really good. Even though it's League One, his goal contribution is very, very good. All right. All right, Triple E. I may do that, even though it'd be better to hear the conference, but I may do that. Where am I? So Dimitri Mitchell, actually, a player who's traveled a lot. He was in the Man U setup, and now he's at Exeter. Why am I saying I don't know where Modest is? Modest is at Peterborough. It's in front of me. I need to be slapped in my head. I'm losing my mind. Dimitri Mitchell, I think he played defense at one point. He's now playing midfield. He's also here, about 28. The good thing about Modestil is, you see, he's born 2003. I mean, he's 22. He's young. Peterborough, good player. He's a footballer. So there's some footballers, forwards who are traditional number 9. They don't have that versatility in their game. Modestil does. Kranky, I think he's not. He's probably. Now I was told he's in Jamaica actually. So I was told he's in Jamaica watching the semifinal to figure out who to pick in this squad. Anyway, Kyle Ming from Mount Pleasant. He's a Pleasant. Stu McCullough, who actually played against St. Vincent. He was in that first game, and unfortunately, he and Richard King were responsible for that goal. So those things sort of sit in your mind, which is not good. He did score against Trinidad in the friendly game. Jamal Lowe, who has been out of the team and not been around for a while. Remember, Jamal Lowe wasn't called up. He was subsequently called up, and he started, and then he missed the sitter against Cuba. Damian Lowe, who's playing in the Middle East. Dexter Limbakisa, and Dexter is a regular in the team. Greg Lee, who is at Oxford, is also a regular in the team, sort of backup to Amari Bell. Lati Badir, I'm gonna make a statement, and you guys can beat me if you want, but I'm gonna take beating. I think I have now seen Lati Badir played a few games at Jamaica defense. Watch him against the US And I watched him against was St. Vincent, right? Mark Belden playing. I think across the entire defense, including Ethan Pinner, I'm gonna get so much beaten, especially from Chris Smith and JD, that Lati is our best defender. Let me say it again. When I watched Lati against the US very, very closely. He wasn't playing on the side of the field I was. At least for, I think it was the second half. And I was like, damn, he's good. Like, he's not the best passer of the ball. He's not a midfielder. But his anticipation, his recovery, his ability to just put it on forward, never out of position. I think across the end, because look, Pinnock has a lot of great attributes, but he's slow. You know, don't get me, he's slow. He reads the game really well. He's a good passer, but short and long, he's slow. Lati to me is our best defender. Whether it's Lambert he's going to talk about, Low, Amar Bet, all of them, Lati's our best defender. But anyway, I keep going. I can't stop seeing Lati spray. I watched Lati up close and I'm like, he's much better than people think. Like, seriously. I could see him playing left or right back in the Premier League. I know Coventry didn't make it, but I think I could see it. Javon Lang from Cavalier is there. I think Javon plays beside Richard, right? Yeah, he reads the game really well. Let's keep going. Richard King, obviously, is there. Janera Johnson. Now, let me say something. If I won't touch Janera. I'm gonna skip Janera. Janera's at Ajax. He's Ajax. He was on the under 21 captain, something like that. I'm gonna touch another player and then I'll come back to Janera. Gadale Irving from Mount Pleasant. There's a lot of Mount Pleasant players here, by the way, people. A lot. Malik Howell from Las Vegas Lights. I think he came in one of those squads, didn't he? To replace somebody. Mason Holgate from Everton. He's at West Brom actually playing, but he's from Everton. And Holgate hasn't had the best start to his Jamaica career. Isaac Hayden, who I think has played very well, joining us. People criticize him. I watch all his game. Isaac doesn't lose the ball. People don't realize that's important. And Isaac is on loan, right? Up at Portsmouth. And then Tyrese Hall from Tottenham. Now, Tyrese Hall is getting a lot of notoriety. He hasn't made it into the Tottenham first team. But if you hear people like Jermaine Defoe and others are very surprised he hasn't made it to the Tottenham first team. Now, let me just say something, people. This is important. People, honestly, man, we have 154 people and we have 70 people, like 70. Now, I know some of you forget to hit the like button, so let me be nice. Please hit the like button, please, while you're here. I would really appreciate it. Okay? Please hit the like button. So I told you guys at one point I had about 14 to 17 names. Let me drink some water while I hit the like button. Let me drink some water, people. Sorry. We haven't touched on anything yet. This is important. So Janir Johnson and Tyrese Hall have been called up to the senior team. Well, no, not called senior team. They're in the 60-man provisional squad. And I think they may play in the Unity Cup, and I hope they do well. They're both midfielders, right? I think Johnson is a 6. No, I don't think. He's a 6. And I think Tyrese can play in the midfield. Tyrese is born 2005, so he's 20 this year, right? And Janir, it's just 18. All right, he's 18. Now, what's interesting is both of these players, let me repeat, they are now being considered for the senior team. It's a year later. They were in the list I told you of 14 to 17 players that John Wall wanted, and they're Jamaican citizens, and they had them papers. Let me repeat that again, people, because this is important. That team that got 15 love in 3 games, where we overloaded the team with locally based players who didn't have the requisite skill sets and what was required to qualify the team to the World Cup. These 2 players were part of that 14 and 17 I told you that were not included, that weren't given an opportunity, that wanted to play. And now we're considering for the senior team. You can't make it up. Now, I'm a little bit surprised they're being considered because, as you may know, when the coach first came, most of us had the idea that he wanted mainly just people who are past their prime in the team, right? And therefore, wouldn't have considered these young players, but they're here. Now, recommendation may have come from someplace else, but they're here. Mr. Galaxy Pinnock said, no, I think Pinnock is playing at a higher level, but Lati to me is the best. I understand Galaxy. So let's keep going. Daniel Green, who's in and out of the team on Pleasant. Damari Gray, playing in Timbuktu. Sorry, Damari, you're playing in Middle East. I can't see you play, even though he does come on Fox sometimes. Robino Gordon, who has got a lot of notoriety, play forward. Is this Nikyle Ellis? I've heard a lot about him from racing. If you're a racing player here, he must be a good player. Everybody wants to see him. He's got a lot of notoriety. We'll see if he gets in the team. Javon East, who is in Israel and been in another team also, but not recently. Kaheem Dixon, who is in Mo's squad. I'm going to touch upon Kareem when I get to Tyrese Campbell. Shaquan Davis, obviously, is a goalkeeper. He's been part of the setup with Jamal Wade and Andre Blake. They're normally the three goalkeepers, probably the same. Tafari Chambers from Unpleasant. There's a lot of Unpleasant players here, even more than Cavalier, frankly. But Cavalier have a few overseas players, so even though we have quotas, it's kind of contradictory. Anyway, Ronaldo Cephas, who's playing in Turkey. Tyrese Campbell, who has his citizenship. Not sure if he has his passport yet, but maybe get his passport, so he's here. He plays at Charlton, where Dixon is. Dixon doesn't get on the bench most times. Tyrese is a regular starter. It'll be, and I've said this before, it'd be interesting to see, does Dixon get into the 23 and Tyrese doesn't? And I've heard this to certain circles that people at Charlton are puzzled as to why Tyrese hasn't gotten called up. Right? So I don't know. And Dixon does. So it's interesting. Norman Campbell from Rangers. Romain Burrell from Burton Albion. Warner Brown. And I think Warner has not done himself any harm from Arnett Gardens. He's the only person I see here. And he played really well against St. Vincent. So we'll see if he maintains that, especially since Antonio may not be ready. But we'll see what happens. You know, Antonio's here. Andre Blake will just skip. Corey Bennett, who's playing in Al Nasser in Timbuktu. I call everybody from Middle East Timbuktu, by the way. Not to denigrate. He's just overseas and not in Europe or in the Americas. Amari Bell, who is unattached at the moment. He was at Luton. Luton got relegated, so we'll see what happened to Amari. Lewis Baker. Now, we've been talking about 5 or 6 players who wanted to come into the team. Tyrese Campbell was one. Lewis Baker is another one. So Lewis Baker's in the squad. Not sure if he totally picked up his papers yet, but I guess he'll pick them up after the season is done. The season is done now. Bailey's here. Dwayne Atkinson from Cavaliers here. Not surprising. I think he's played well for Cavalier. Mikel Antonio is here. Now, I know Mikel was trying really hard to get back for the Gold Cup. I'm not sure he's ready. And it may just be a precaution. It must just be, it's a 60-man squad. I put him in. Hopefully he makes it. Bless up Michael Gordon. If he doesn't, XYZ. And Chris is saying Dixon only made the bench 2 times in 40 games. He's on 21 play. Yeah, he is. And Tyrese is a starter, so that should be interesting. K. Roy Anderson, who we know from Charlton, who comes off the bench quite a bit. Christopher Ainsworth from Cavalier. Corey Burke. Corey hasn't been in the team in a while. I think Corey hasn't been in the team since we played the US, actually, in the sort of semifinal Panama game. Corey had that unfortunate own goal in that game. US game. Alvas Powell. Alvas is back in the provisional squad. Wow. Alvas hasn't been in the team for a long time. Nicalia Fuller, who has gotten a lot of recommendation to be here and a lot of laudatory comments about his play in the JPL. Andre Fletcher from Waterhouse and Raheem Edwards from Mount Pleasant. Look like the whole Mount Pleasant team is here. Like there's a lot of Mount Pleasant players. On this page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like a whole Mount Pleasant team in the 60s. So that's the 60-man squad, people. That's 60-man squad. Now let's talk about what you want to talk about. So the first question is this, or the first thing is this, which is for the players. I always was talking about 5 players, right? There were Tyrese Campbell, Lewis Baker. There was another Tyrese Campbell from Sheffield. I don't know what the situation is. There's not a lot of progress made there. I'm not sure if he's that interested. There was Jonathan Rowe. I know he has his papers. He's not here. Don't know what the story is. And then there's Max Aarons. I know Max is, my understanding is, Max wants to play for Jamaica. But you got to go through the PICA. We've been talking about this. Sometimes when some people criticize some of these players and beat the players and denigrate the players and we don't want them, let them go away and this and that, they don't understand the process to get your citizenship, especially when your papers are not all aligned, can take a long time. As I said before, Antonio Demari Gray, 2 years. There are a couple other kids. I know one has gone to, I forgot his name now, that's gone to Bangladesh. Went through the process for 2 years, never got his papers. I think Modestil, was it Modestil or Connemara? One of them spent a lot of money trying to get his papers, went through a whole lot of process. Probably didn't really get done. Right? Jonathan Rowe has his papers. I understand he has his papers, actually. That's my understanding. So that's my understanding, Chorus, that he has papers. Or he either has them or in the verge of getting them. But there's some complexity there. I don't want to speculate as to whether or not he wants to play for Jamaica or he just wants papers so he can move in Europe freely. Whatever that is. Some people can get their citizenship now without going to the JFF. We're not going to the JFF, because the JFF is not involved in the process most times. They're not involved. JFF needs to do better also. Like JFF sometimes make excuses and they can do better to have a process to work with the government and PICA to get this done. I don't think we don't have a structure in place for the naturalization process for descendants to get their papers in a timely manner. Right? Okay, Nitro. He's not in the squad, but I know he got his papers. Or he's gone through the process to get his papers. But sometimes people get their papers, because England is no longer in the EU. So if you get the Jamaican papers, there's a more freedom. You can move more freely, is my understanding. I don't know what the particulars are in that. So let's go to the elephant in the room, Mason Greenwood. Now, I heard someone just mention here that someone said that, what was the comment that was made about Greenwood? Oh, look, come on, Chorus. Don't speculate, Chorus. Don't speculate, Chorus. Chorus, don't speculate on that. So, say, how many of the 6 that you had mentioned? I think we had Lewis Baker in there. We had Tyrese Campbell. I'm trying to remember the names and the numbers. Tyrese, Lewis Baker, Greenwood was mentioned. Max Aarons was on the outside. The other Tyrese Campbell, I don't know what the status is with him. Who else was there? I'm getting a little bit senility here, I have my list. I got to go find my list because I've had the list for a while. Let me see if I can find my list. It should be here someplace. So you know what? Let me touch upon the elephant in the room because this is important. Now, it is my understanding. The process takes a while. So, is Greenwood being processed? Yes. Let's put it that way. Yes. Yes, Nitro, Greenwood is in the process. So here are the players, people. Mason Greenwood, Jonathan Rowe, Lewis Baker, Tyrese Campbell, Dujan Sterling, and Keenan Davis. Those are the names I was given. Now, it's my understanding, and then other people on the outside. Well, no, Dujan Sterling wasn't sure about that. He's injured now anyway. And we didn't talk about Dwight McNeil, who is on here, right? So we have the midfielder, Mitchell, I should say. Sorry, not McNeil. We have Dimitri Mitchell on here, who I hadn't heard about. But obviously he has his papers. So Jonathan Rowe is my understanding have his papers. Or if he doesn't have them, they're on the horizon. Lewis Baker got his, and Lewis Baker process took a while, complex, but he got it. Tyrese Campbell had his citizenship, but didn't have his passport. Jonathan Rowe, I've been told, have his documentation or is in the point of getting them. I think I told he had them. I can't remember. And then the last one was Mason Greenwood. Yeah, Sterling is out for a while, Nitro. Mason Greenwood. Now, the Mason Greenwood situation is an interesting one. And obviously, you hear the JFF come out. People, if we have 176 people and we only have 93 likes, that means you don't like the program. That's not a good thing. Because if you're here and you're participating with me and you're engaging me, that means you want to be here. It's of your own volition. So please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to date, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I have a testing of people. If I don't get 3,000 people by June 15, I already commented what I'm going to be doing. So, and maybe some of you will be glad about that. I'm sure people like Football Guru will be glad, be ecstatic. But there are other individuals, such as a Max Aaron, for example, who is now playing in Spain and was at Bournemouth and was Young Player of the Year in the championship at one point, and he's in the early 20s, that I'm sure will be part of the process come September. Now, I expect Greenwood to be here by now, at least by September the latest, but by now, that has materialized. And it's my understanding that Greenwood wants to play for Jamaica. Let me repeat that, because I know people are spreading narratives, which, look, I don't have evidence from Greenwood. I haven't talked to Greenwood. I haven't got communication from Greenwood to say I want to play for Jamaica. I've been informed he wants to play for Jamaica. That's what I've been informed. Right? But it's a process you have to go through. Now, whether it's Greenwood, whether it's people in the circle, whether it's the JFF, whether it's Peacock, I don't know what the holdup is. Yeah, I heard Jaden Bogle. Wait, Jaden Bogle is here, isn't he? Am I missing that? I thought there was somebody here that I missed that I should have brought up, actually. But anyway, I've been told that Greenwood does want to play for Jamaica. And in fact, and let me say this to some people, because people are like, I hear that by parish council. People don't want to come, they want to stay. I've said this before, people. There are people in life with exceptional abilities who get treated differently. Period. No ambiguity about that. There are people in life who get treated differently because they have exceptional ability. That's how life is. Greenwood have exceptional ability. Right? And as such, you do have to give those people more latitude, whether you want to or not, even though you may aspire to have an egalitarian system. Everybody treated equally. Life is not fair, and that's not how it works. Mr. Galaxy, Max Aaron would play for Jamaica. The question is not if, it's when. If Max Aaron is not here by December, I'll be shocked. You guys can hold me accountable. He's not in the Jamaica squad by December, I'll be shocked. And I say Jamaica to be conservative. I say December to be conservative. He's going to be part of the squad at some point. He'll get his papers. Who's going to give him the ball? Damian Lowe. What do you mean? And Pinnock. What do you mean? We play the ball past the midfield. No, let me just say this, people. If so I'm gonna go to the 23 that I put together, and we said it can happen. But my understanding is Green want to play for Jamaica. I know some people are spreading some narrative that he doesn't want to play for Jamaica and he's XYZ, and a friend of mine from another country did tease me to say, I'll believe it when I see it. Right? I believe it when I see it. But he doesn't want to play for Jamaica. So let's not knock him. Let's not knock him, people. It's not a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing to knock him. Somebody just texted me that the tickets to World Cup finals are all gone. I didn't buy any tickets. I hope I can get a media pass to go to World Cup. That's not good. I planned to buy tickets and I forgot. Anyway, I'll find a way to get tickets. I buy them on the whatever market. People are going to buy them up in bulk and then try to do whatever they do with them. And if Jamaica make World Cup, I'm getting World Cup tickets. You know what? I bet I'd be nice to the JFF. And if we work, I'd be nice to the JFF. If we make World Cups, we'll get tickets. But if we think about the squad and the team and the players and all that, we've gotten a number of the ones, Tyrese Campbell and Lewis Baker. And by the way, Tyrese is a very good player. Modasil so we have Modasil. I didn't have Modasil in my list. We have Modasil, we have Tyrese, we have Lewis Baker, and we have Mitchell, who are all sort of new to the team. Not sure Mitchell will get into the last 23 though. And I think they're going to be good additions. All right? Yes, Omar said Lewis Baker will give him the ball. I think Lewis Baker will put the ball in the goal. So the question is asked about Ravel's inclusion or absence. I'm not surprised. Look, I think if I saw Ravel's demeanor when he was at the game in St. Louis, I can imagine what happened behind closed doors. I'm just speculating, people. I'm not saying anything that he did anything. I'm just imagining if I just see his demeanor, I know what his temperament is. Secondly, the coach came in and said he know Ravel from Man U, if that's the Ravel he has a view of, it can't be the good perception. And maybe what will happen is, even though I did say I'm not going back to any press conference, because I didn't like how the coach answered my question, so I was in my feelings, I may go to another press conference to ask that question. So you know what? I'm going to jot that one down. Why is Ravel not in the squad? He's better than all the midfielders you have. I may even just put it that way too. I don't use euphemism in asking questions of coaches. I try to be as direct as possible. There's no ambiguity in my question. They fully understand my question. And they can't say, well, I misinterpreted it. So there are questions to be asked about a couple of things. The Ravel is one is, so people, you guys got to remind me, because you know my brain doesn't work that well sometimes. The Ravel question is a good one. And also, question around Mason Green was another one. We got to ask those questions. The Ravel question, we got to ask questions about players. There's certain players, maybe it's Max, maybe it's Ravel, maybe it's Greenwood, all three, which is, what's the status on those players? Where are those players? Because we understand that those players have an interest in playing for Jamaica. We know Ravel is playing for Jamaica a lot, right? Corey said Ravel is not the easiest person to deal with. He's a good player. Yeah. And we want to know what the story is. Does the coach not like his game? Look, I'll say this. The coach actually didn't seem to know about Jonathan Russell. Said a friend told him, Jonathan is on the 60-man squad, so we'll see what happens. Right? We can see what happens. Wow, Money Pro. So I guess I'll be watching on TV. I ain't got no kind of money, no pay no $40 on a ticket. I'm gonna go to a game though, some way, somehow. I hope the corporate to get ticket and I can talk to one of my colleagues and previously I work with. Yeah, I think Jonathan Rowe has Jonathan Rowe has his documentation. Now there are some players we need to go after hard after this window. Like Dwight McNeil, like Jacob Ramsey, the kid from Southampton, his name is slipping me now. His name is always slipping me for some forward, the center forward who came on the weekend. There's some players where I think we can add value to the squad. We have to go after them and go after them hard. They may be on the fence, straddling the fence, but we need to go after them hard to try to bring them into the team. Daniel Johnson. Which Daniel Johnson? Texan, the one who used to play for Jamaica. Which one are we talking about? Cameron Archer. Yes, Texan, Cameron Archer. Somehow Cameron Archer name always slipped me. I should remember that actress and then associate name with Archer, who shoot bows or something. But Archer, I think, would add a lot of value to the team, especially given his space and his skill. It'd be very good, actually. I think those players we need to go after. But I think the team is rounding up in terms of what it's going to look like. Now, if I was the coach, you know what? I should go to my squad that I'm proposing, and you guys can beat me about what my squad is going to look like. Let me see if I can find it. I know I had put together a squad at some point, and I know I can't find it. Oh, here it is. So here is my proposed squad for the 23, because my understanding is going to be 23 players. If I can find my squad. So here's the squad I'm proposing. This is my 23. Well, it's already 24, but here's the 23 people. You guys can tell me if I'm way off on this. So, and it's a lot of repeat, which is a little bit concerning. I was hoping to add some more players here, like a Mason and a Max, because I do think the team that played the US that got destroyed came to be the same team we recycled around. But this is a team I picked that I think the coach is going to have, or a coach may pick. Our coach don't know about Russell. He played for Jamaica in the recent past. Winston Williams, the coach has spent on time in the Jamaica community. Coach come the coach come the games play and go back in yard. Probably they are paying some players. I have no empathy for the coach when it comes to that. He's getting paid. He should not. I am sure the JFF cannot be happy with the coach. Let me just say that. There is no way, there is zero chance the JFF is happy with the coach. Zero chance. There's no way the JFF is happy with the coach. No way. Cannot be happy with the coach. You can't be happy with a coach who comes. I pick whoever was available, Conrad. So here's a team I pick, people. There's no way I think the JFF is happy with the coach. People, hit the like button. 120. I was watching a stream today now. The likes were more. I think the person had 200 something people, and the likes were more than that. You guys can do better, I'm sure. But let me just say this, because there's 219 people, or 16, there's only 121 likes. That's not good, people. If you want other people to watch this video and help to support my channel, I'd appreciate it. So goalkeepers, no different. The three that we talked about before is going to be the three again. Adam said Jamaica, the three again. They'll be no different. Right? I don't see that being any different. Secondly, as it relates to defenders, now I have Dexter and Lati as the right back. Joel as covering both right and left back. Joel can play anyway. Can even play center back. Right? Joel can play all across the defensive line. So I have Dexter and Joel as right back set up. Damien, Holgate, Pinnock, and King in center back. I think that's going to be the four. Bernard is not here. I don't see anybody else. I mean, I know we have what's his name from Cavalier in the defense, but I don't think he'll get in. And Amari Bell and Greg Lee, even though Amari Bell don't have a club, so he may be looking for a club. Amari Bell and Greg Lee as the two left backs. Right? Then we go in the midfield. I have Casey Palmer, reluctantly, I'm going to be honest, very reluctantly. I put Tyrese Hall in here from Tottenham. I haven't really seen Tyrese play, so let me just be honest about that. But if all the news I'm hearing from all the people who I respect their opinion saying he's as good as he is, and he's under 21, I think we should just bring him in, safe and cap him. And if he's good enough, play him. Right? If he's good enough, play him. If all the things I'm hearing about Tottenham and him, people like Jermaine Defoe rating him and others saying he should be in the Tottenham first team, I should be given a chance, and he's playing really, really well, then we should cap him. And I said before, he wanted to play for the under-20, we didn't call him. Isaac is a no-brainer. John Russell's been playing well for his team, scoring goal and getting assists, playing like the 8. Lewis Baker is a 1-in-3 person for his entire career. Lewis is late 20s. And Tyrese Campbell is the starter for Charlton. He's played about 46, 47 games this season. So he's a regular. So I expect him to be there, especially at the expense of Dixon. Then obviously Graham Bailey going to be there. That's no-brainer. Sifa's going to be there. And then up front, I have Mothersill, who is very versatile. I have Warner Brown, who played well against St. Vincent. And I have if Antonio comes back, he plays. If not, Shamar is in the squad. Let me guys know what you think about my 23. And do you have others you want to replace? If I was to replace anyone, it'd be Casey Palmer. It would be Mason Holgate. It would be, frankly, those two. And maybe Greg Lee. Those are the three I probably would replace, actually, if I had better, I don't say I forgot other options. Great point, Toffee Rudy. What is the thing, Toffee Rudy? I think the coach is basically saying, and I would expect, you hired me to go to the World Cup, let me do my job. And there's no, if Tyrese have all these papers, there's no way he doesn't get in the team at the expense of Dixon. Because it's like you're saying, you know what? Toffee Rudy's playing for Arsenal in the first team. And John Jones and Nitro is in the under 21 and has made the bench a couple of times. And you're going to play Nitro over Toffee Rudy. Does that make sense to anybody? Especially when you're trying to camouflage your quota in the senior team? No, I don't think they can do that. That's going to be hard to do. Hard to do. Hard to do. Right? Trying to find that. So that is, I could see Palmer being out of the team. I could see Greg Lee being out of the team. I could see Shamar being out of the team. And I could see Oldgate being on the team. Those players. Yeah, it all depends on when you're picking Chris Smith. As I said, Chris, if I had better players, I'll give you an example, Chris. If I was a coach, I could say, you know what? Lati can play left or right back. Lati can cover for Amari Bell. Lati can cover for Mikisi. So I don't need Lati can frankly, Lati can start over Lambakiza or over Amari Bell. In fact, I would start Lati over both of them. Chris would know better than Palmer. I'm not Chris. I don't want to say I don't rate Palmer. Palmer has not impressed me. I am very fear when it comes to these things, Chris. Palmer has not impressed me. Palmer played one good game against a Cuba side with 10 people. Palmer has not impressed me. In fact, I'd probably play Johnson from AIAC after seeing him play, even though he's a 6, and Tyrese Hall, and see them play. I would good to see if some of these players can play in the Unity Cup, and so they look against the teams we're playing against, right? We're going to play a game, first game, and then we play Trinidad probably. I want to see I'm sure those players are on a trial. I want to see how they look. Nitro say we start Gregley over Bell. Yeah, but Greg Bill is not as solid as Bell, I don't think. Well, King won't start, Chris. King is not starting. Lowe and Pinnock is going to start. King is not starting. If Lowe is fit and ready and don't have any challenges, he's going to start, unless he's not fit. I'm not saying he can't play, but he hasn't played with Jamaica. You know, Palmer reminds me of another player who's born in Jamaica, who to me really, if ever, had a good game for Jamaica, but may play well for his club team. Yeah, Chris, but we have to be fair. There are other players with higher pedigree who don't play well for Jamaica who get to play every single time. We'll back up Dexter. Like I said, Lati can back up both. It all depends. Now, he'd have a left and a right back, right? If he plays a back 4. So, because he also has gone a back 3 before. So, if he has Greg Lee and he has... Look, I think Mitchell can also play defense if he comes in the team. But what I would love to see is a Max Aaron's coming so we don't have the conversation. Dexter and Max on the right, Lati and Bell on the left. Or Lati and Greg on the left. I don't really have a preference. But as I said before, I could see Mason out. I could see Greg Lee out. I could see Shamar out. Shamar has had a horrid time over the last year. I mean, I'm going to go back since the Canada game where he was awesome. I don't remember. You guys can remind me. I don't remember Nicholson playing a very good game for Jamaica. Seriously. Since the game against Canada where he scored those 2 goals, he was exceptional. Think about Copa, World Cup qualifiers against Dominique and others. Shamar is not being in the races. He's had a tough time. Shamar has to improve his game. Is he going to see his game? Is himself out the team? Yes, Float. That's the point, Float. Yes, Float, definitely. In fact, I don't think you're going to see Ravel. I think you will see Nico. Well, I don't want to put my neck on any block because I thought he'd be here for the summer. But I think you'll see Greenwood. I don't think you'll see Ravel. Shamar was our best striker, Nitro. Shamar is running like he's in quicksand. Seriously, I've met Shamar. He's a really nice guy. He's a good footballer. He hasn't played well. I don't know what's happening. His game has gone south. And if he doesn't get better, I'm sorry, but he's not going to be in this team going forward because the other players coming in. Imagine bringing Greenwood. Greenwood can play across the front line now. Imagine bringing Cameron Archer. They don't play for Nicholson. If you have Antonio, Cameron Archer, and Greenwood, you don't have a place for Nicholson. He needs to improve his game. And if he was playing well, I'd say, you know what? He plays over some of those other players. He plays over Archer, for example, but I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not happening. Chris, I can't see when we buy a Soulgate was good this season for West Ham, but it should get. Okay. Presser, I'm going to close the stream down in 5 minutes because I'm not going over 2 hours. I'll open another stream when I'm done.
Hold on, you can't leave the people them.
Wait, no. I'm going to open another stream in 10 minutes. I got to take a little break. People, I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes. I know some of you are gonna leave for good, but I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes, people. I'm gonna close the stream down in 5 minutes.
Football related. The next
The same. It's continuing the show. It's continuing the show. But I have a thing now about 2 hours. So trust me.
What?
I gotta drink some water. I got a part of my nose. Okay. So I gotta.
Yeah, run from the people them number. Anyways.
No, I'm gonna come back in 10 minutes. I'm telling you, I'm gonna close it down and come back in 10 minutes, people. So don't leave. Don't leave. Just watch
a point. No.
No, you know what? Make a point when they come back. Make a point when they come back. You can start the show. You can start the show. So people, I'm gonna close the stream down. I will be back in 15 minutes. So it's 7:42. I'll be back at 8 o'clock. Wait. No. I'm good. No, go ahead, Pressa. I'm good. I'm sorry. I thought I started at 6. I thought at 6:30. Go ahead, Pressa.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To the point of the strikers, right? I think for me, Warner Brown would be a fair selection. Seeing that, I mean, we can always have conversations of who we might bring in terms of like the striking department.
Right.
But as things stand now, in terms of like him like playing for Jamaica already, listen, I think
who you talking about? Who you talking about?
Warner Brown.
Okay, what about Warner?
Yeah, I'm saying in terms of like, you know, in the striking department, seeing that we're depleted, right?
Yes.
I think going into the Gold Cup for me personally would be a fair selection. And you know, oftentimes I hear people talk about other strikers, right? But to be fair, Kranky, I would prefer a striker at any level that is at least scoring goals. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I would make him the starter in the Gold Cup, right? Because they can always, you know, play maybe like Bailey or somebody as a false nine, right? And you still have the striker on the bench as an option. But you see, in terms of modern day football, you can only succeed in terms of scoring goals. You know what I'm saying? And you know, whether you're fighting off relegation or whatever the case is, you need somebody to score goals. And I think Warner Brown in that game against St. Vincent, in terms of what he showed us, other than the goal that he scored, in terms of his overall gameplay, right? I think it is something that could benefit the team going into the Gold Cup. And I think to some aspect as well, the players that you have on your list, Matasil and those guys, and Tyrese Campbell and what's his name, Ronaldo Cephas, Leon Bailey, I think it's still a strong enough you know, attacking department that could help Jamaica moving forward in this Gold Cup campaign, you know. I think maybe 1 and 2 players not on form like Demar and Leon Bailey, but I still think it's strong enough that when the competition comes around, I'm expecting that they will step up their game in the Gold Cup. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Hey, 423. When has the player you mentioned last step up his game? In any cup, in any situation, in any game. St. Vincent. No, but tell me, I'm just curious.
Yes, but I'm hoping, hope. It's the hope that kills me, but that's what I'm hoping.
The players play what, 30 games plus game for Jamaica?
Yeah, you just take one game, play good, and everything good enough.
All right.
So that's where the hope is coming from. So yes,
man is an eternal optimist. Go ahead.
He hasn't had the best of performances for the country, but with a player like him and his talent, you still have to hope. I mean, ask Aston Villa fans when he had all the injuries before the third season, right? They would have still hoped that, okay, when he comes around eventually, he will help us, in which the third season he did. This season, not so much, but still, you know what I'm saying?
So he has one of the 3 seasons or one of the 4 seasons for Aston Villa? Is it 1 of 3 or 1 of 4? 1 of 3, right? He's only been there 3 years, right?
4. This is 4
years? And he has only had 1 good season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so in terms of Mothersill, if he actually plays for Jamaica, I think, you know, that's also a brilliant addition in terms of, you look at his team in is it the Championship or EFL League One? I think it's EFL League One.
League One. League One.
Yeah, EFL League One. You know, to play in a team like that, you know, Kranky, and have that much goal contributions, you know, that speak of the talent level of the player, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. I mean, League One players, I mean, if you think about League One, Ivan Toney came to League One. What's his name from Aston Villa? Came to League One. There are a number of players who come to League One. Watkins came from League. Yeah, now come to League One.
Yeah, and you know, even Jamie Vardy started.
Jamie Vardy come from lower tier. Pinnock came from lower tier. So there are players who have come to the process and have done well at a high level. It's not normal, but League One players progress to Championship, progress to Premier League. So yeah.
Yeah, and one point I want to make about, you were talking about this earlier, the passport process. I was having a conversation with somebody today that was privy to the information and whatever the case is. And I just want to tell the people, Kranky, to be fair, it's not as straightforward as we think it is. You know what I'm saying? Or some of us think the process is where the coach or somebody from the JFF can just approach a player and be like, come and play for Jamaica. And they're like, yes. And then they just jump on a plane and come and play for the country, you know? Because the person was giving me a really certain information to me, right? About how the process actually works. And honestly speaking, even though Pika and the JFF can maybe do a better job, sometimes certain things is just out of their control. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
It's
I mean,
just out of their control.
it is true. It is true. But
when it comes down to-
here's the problem. 433. So we should talk about this a little bit actually, which is important. And we get frustrated as fans because we don't have all the information. Even I sometimes don't get. I get information, but I don't get a lot of information sometimes, or all the information, or no behind the scenes what's transpiring. So when a player is going to decide to change nationality and play for another country, there's normally 3 sets of people involved. There's the player, there's the player's family, and there's the player's agent. And sometimes even that country of origin, right? There may be 4 parties involved. And sometimes it may be 5 because the player's coach for his team, his club team, may also be involved. As you heard with Antonio and David Moyes, who didn't want him to change nationality because he didn't get a chance to play for England, right? So let's talk about who you have again. You have the country, you have the player's coach from his team, you may have the player's club, you have his agent, you have his family, you have the player himself. That's a lot of people involved, and the player's hearing from all sides. Now, it depends on what level the player is in terms of how he thinks, right? So you may have an Iwobi, for example, who played for Arsenal, who had potential to play for England, go play for Nigeria right away, right? Didn't hesitate. You may have a Lookman who delayed to doing it because he probably didn't get a chance for England, and he's now mid-late 20s and said, you know what, I'm going to play. Even though he may have gotten a look in because he's playing really, really well. And he's at, what, he was at Napoli, one of those teams? No, not Napoli. No, Atlanta, right? Atlanta. Yeah. He may say, you know what, I'm going to go play for Nigeria now. I don't want to be for England anymore. Or Zaha who says, I'm going to play for Ivory Coast. I don't want to be for England anymore, right? You may have those situations. But all the parties, and if the younger the player is, the more influential his family will be and his agent will be. When you're on Tony's age or your Pinnock's age, nobody can tell you what to do. You have gone through the process. You make your own decision. Maybe you and your spouse may be involved too. But if you're much younger, I'd expect less of that. So imagine juggling all these parties, these stakeholders in the process to make a decision about switching nationality. Even if you love Jamaica and you rep Jamaica and it's in your DM and all that stuff, you're still born someplace. And here's the thing. When you play for when you play for a country, it does a lot for your brand. So I was watching the game with Charlton when they played the other day, when they won the 2-legged to get to the final of League One. And when, what's his name was coming on the field? What's the kid that played midfield for us? I don't have him on my list here. Huh?
Corey Anderson. Yeah,
and I've interviewed the kid now. I told him I'm getting C now. The first thing the commentators say, Jamaica International, Corey Anderson. That's what he said, right? He's coming on late in the game. I think it was an 80-something minute. So your nationality and the team and the country you play for is a big deal about how you're defined as a player, right? It affects you monetarily. It affects you profile-wise. It affects you transfer-wise. Those are not debatable items. So when you're telling a player they should just come change and come play for Jamaica, when Jamaica may not have the profile, may not have the history, may not have the performance to inform their brand as well as they should, they may say, I don't want to do that. Plus, I'm born here. Why would I want to try to play here? And we beat them if they're like early 20s and they say, no, I want to wait. I don't want to see what's happening with England. And we lose our minds. But if they were born in Jamaica and they had the audacity to go think about playing for Trinidad or some other country, because Jamaica may not call them, we would lose our minds. So we are the ones as fans who are very selfish and very hypocritical about how the process works. Go ahead, 43.
Yeah, and to my understanding as well, it's actually a real sacrifice for a lot of these players to play for the country, not in terms of like just traveling alone, but other aspects that maybe we don't like really speak on frequently on YouTube. So it's actually a real sacrifice for a lot of them, especially the ones that play at the highest level to a certain extent. So I think we just have to give them the time and the space, and even to the agent aspect as well. My understanding is also that the agents are very much involved in some of these decisions in terms of like relaying information to the players, like documentation and all these type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that the agents control them, but like they play a huge part in terms of the player. You know what I'm saying? In terms of moving and making some decisions.
Here's what also happens. So a player is spoiled, right? Period. Spoiled. Grew up playing in the academy from 7. Everything is given to him. Everything, whether it's gear, whether it's what he does. He does probably in the cleanest room. He's lauded. He's the greatest in sliced bread. Now you go tell him you gotta go search for papers and go get this paper here, paper. And he's thinking, what are you talking about? You guys need to do that. I don't need to do that. You guys go figure it out. Right? So then he's told that's not how the process works. You got to go get this. He hasn't learned to do a darn thing. And now he's going to go run around, try to get papers, this and papers, that. Oh, yes, others going to help him in the process, but he has to get involved in some of this. And he's thinking, I don't really do that thing. I don't do that stuff. Other people do it for me, right? And then he's getting frustrated because he's saying, I thought this was going to ease your process. I thought I was going to play for you. My grandparents were Jamaican. It just happened by osmosis. And then we find out a peak. I wanted to get this paperwork and that paperwork and mother's and signature from some lawyer or justice of the peace. And you got to get your birth certificate and you got to get marriage certificate. And oh, by the way, my parents came to England on assumed name. So that process is 10 times harder because the names don't match. My name is Johnson and their name is Gibbs. It doesn't align. Oh no, you got to go get it. It's spelled different. So you can see it's a very complex process. As I said before, the Margaret understanding is, and Antonio took 2 years to get their papers.
Yeah, and the squad that you pull up, I like the squad. I think I would want the squad to be strengthened, obviously in the midfield, but in the fullback areas as well, especially right back. Seeing that Limbikisa in the last couple windows hasn't been his best. You know what I'm saying? And I think there are a lot of fullbacks out there that can represent Jamaica, left hand side, right hand side, that would aid Jamaica massively in terms of like just us being strong defensively and even going forward as well. And in modern day football, Kranky, like fullbacks are very important in terms of how you play moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Getting the ball up the pitch. So we definitely could use some.
I definitely agree with you 100%. Right? I definitely agree with you 100% because the way we play, our offense struggles, like really struggles. Really, really struggles. And the question is, we need goals from anywhere we can get them. And I know Owen Dexter scored a great goal against Panama. We don't get enough offensive output from our defenders. Once in a while, Lowe may score one of those headers, but it's not normal.
And you see, you watch Arsenal, like that's your team. You see how important like the system of having like your fullbacks linking up with the wingers is important, like for soccer. You know what I'm saying? And even other clubs as well. Trent, Salah, all these different type of things. So yeah, it's a very unique squad in terms of like a lot of players not being on form, but hopefully by the time the competition starts, like they find that motivation to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to say like, if you're competing in the competition, it is there to be won. You know what I'm saying? It's just whether or not you have the proper game plan to go out there and then, deploy it and and
here's what happened so fortunately, which is someone in the chat mentioned about the night and day exposure the kid have when they come to Jamaica. We got to remember, it's not too long ago the JFF had a terrible reputation. You hear Ravel being interviewed by Troy Deeney and just talking about, buying tickets and don't get reimbursed or the environment they're operating. It's just people like some players may be informed about what they're going to get involved in, so they manage it. Like Dexter Daps, for example, maybe it's a little bit different. Yeah. Bobby Reed is Dexter Daps, right? Dexter Daps, maybe. Yeah, Dexter Daps. I'm talking about Bobby Reed. Don't he look like Dexter Daps? Yeah, people like him are different, right? They probably understand. I've been told what the environment look like, so they don't come with any expectation to be treated as they do when they play for Premier League team or Championship team, right? They come with a different expectation, and therefore, when they come and it's a reality check, they're set up to get involved and not feel affront. That's an affront to them when they encounter certain situations. Some players may not have that situation. They're treated like kings, and they expect to be treated like kings wherever they go. Especially when they leave the UK, they even want better treatment, and it's not coming from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So I do think it's interesting the way we perceive things, and there's a disconnect between the fans' expectation of players and the players' perception of the JFF, expectations of the JFF, and also what we expect from them in terms of them converting or changing nationality. It's night and day sometimes to what they think. Go ahead.
Yeah. Listen, I just think whenever they play for the country they play, I think part of it in terms of on the fan side is ignorance. Not in a bad way. It's just that sometimes a lot of us don't have the information like at our fingertips. You know what I'm saying? And for the ones that do, they try to explain it for the ones that don't have the information. And who get it at times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people take a bit longer to have that understanding, and some people it's a bit quicker for them. But that's all I have to say still. Hopefully Wednesday you support my team and
you play Tottenham. Now,
But you have to support United because that is your right.
I can't support any team. Here's why. I've never considered Tottenham a rival. You know, we know trophies. Why? How come you're a rival? You can't beat me most times. You haven't beat me at home since 13, whatever. And I beat you at your place. You're not a rival. Man U has been kicking our butts for years. Even now, we can't beat Man U. Man U knock us out. The Man U have the worst season ever. And they knock us out the FA Cup. Right? We can't. And they had 10 men and played most of the game with 10 men. And we made the semi-final Champions League. Man U has always been the team I hate the most. When Alex Ferguson was here, it hasn't changed. I still hate them the most. And so therefore, I'm not going to support your team. But I'm not supporting Tottenham either because I couldn't do that. That's heresy. So I'm just going to watch the game as a fan and enjoy the game. That's what I'll say about that.
All right, bless up. Big up to the people them too.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I'm going to close on the stream soon. But let me just say this. The squad is an interesting... The 60-man squad, I wouldn't get perturbed by 60-man squad. They got to put 60 names up there. And I know, and I'm like you guys. I am very surprised. That's not the word surprise. I'm very disappointed that Mason Greenwood is not in the squad or is not here yet. I'm very disappointed because this is a running saga. It's a long running saga. The saga needs to come to an end at some point, right? But the narrative about him not wanting to play for Jamaica, that's not true. But as I said, for lack of a better word, everybody have their so-called posse, and I'm going to use posse as a word, not a derogatory sense, but you have the people around you, your club, your manager, the country you were, as I said before, your family, maybe your significant other, right? Your agent, all these parties are around you, all may not be aligned in terms of what decision you should make. You're listening to different people say different things. You may have a view as to what you want to do, but you don't want to disappoint anyone. And you may make decisions which are going to make somebody disappointed because if you say you're going to play for Jamaica, we're going to be happy. Your agent may not be happy. Your family may not be happy. Your club coach may not be happy. Right? So therefore, you are not fully happy. But the fans of the country are going to probably change national for us for happy. If you don't play for the country and you delay and you procrastinate, whatever you want to call it, those fans are not going to be happy. That federation may not be happy. But your family may feel better and your agent may feel better. So you're in a no-win situation. So when we make these comments, and sometimes derogatory, this person don't want to play for Jamaica, they might diss Jamaica, those comments are not fair because you have no idea what the facts and circumstances are. Which team, Omar? Your Man U? I hate you because you used to beat my butt. You used to beat up Arsenal all the time, and I dislike Man U. Come on, we came second to Man U like 3 years in a row. I can't like Man U. Come on. So I'm not picking up. I don't have a dog in the fight on Wednesday when you play Tottenham. You both need it. You know what? Tottenham needs it more because Man U has won trophy 2 years in a row. Even when they're horrible, they're still winning trophies. Right? Man U has won Europa League when they were horrible. Even since Ferguson left. How many trophies you won? Maybe about 4 or 5 trophies since Ferguson left, right? We have only won one trophy since Wenger left, and we weren't winning a trophy we had a FA Cup during Wenger's time. So we have only won one trophy in the last 5-6 years. You have won more than we have won. And if you look at where we are, we're in different places. No, you need to spend some money. You'll spend money on something. You get enough players in it. You got enough players. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna have players, they're gonna play better. So people, please hit the like button. So here's what I say, people. The squad is out. I don't think, apart from maybe Mason Greenwood, if I think about surprises, Mason Greenwood to me is a surprise. Jonathan Rowe to me is a surprise because I thought he was going to be in the squad, even when I hear about his paperwork. But the other players, whether it's the other Tyrese Campbell or Max Ernst or others, I didn't expect them now, but I expect them at a minimum before year end. Somebody says, Greenwood worries about whenever products about Jamaica. He's still waiting to make up his mind. Don't know if he's just saying that or what. That's not what my understanding is. You know what? I don't want to dispute what Greenwood was saying. If he's waiting to make up his mind, what is he waiting to make his mind for? Didn't he ask for an allegiance change? I don't understand that. Yeah. Do I believe Arsenal can win the league next year? That's a good question. because Liverpool gonna get better. They already brought Frimpong. They're gonna get better. They're gonna get rid of Chiesa. They're gonna get rid of Nunez. Trent already left. They're gonna improve in each area because I think they get a better right back than Trent in Frimpong. Even though Trent is a brilliant going forward, but he can't defend. Nunez doesn't score a goal, but he's a very good player. And Chiesa just hasn't been in the team. So they're going to get better. People like Gakpo are playing well. Find out with Diaz. Man City going to recharge. Aston Villa will get better under Emery because they're a very good coach. And they have American owners and they'll get more money. They get more commercial sales. Chelsea, we get better. They just need a striker and probably a couple of defenders. We need a center forward, world-class center forward, world-class left winger, maybe another 10, unless Emoniri comes on, because Odegaard has stink up the joint this year. We will get a 6 in Zubamendi. We should get a Gyökeres or Sesko. So, and we probably need another center-back. We're trying to get the kid who went to Real Madrid from Bournemouth. But yeah, can we win? Yeah, will we win? I don't know if Arteta is the manager to do that. I'm not asking for him to be fired, but I don't know. He's a strange manager. His in-game management is like Tom Thibodeau's in-game management. It's awful. Yeah, that's a good question, Tuffy Rudy. You're talking about Connor Boyce Clark, right? Who played for them at 20 about 3 years ago. He's still around. He's going to be in the Unity Cup squad. So we'll see what happens there. But, because maybe Blake and Jamal Wade hold their own and we have a little quota, is there a reason to bring somebody in who may not be able to replace them unless he's better than them. I know the kid that played for Chelsea, the goalkeeper, the Jamaican heritage, he don't really keep for anybody, but he makes too many errors. But he keeps in the Premier League, so I don't know. Now, I like Nunez, but we need a goal scorer. I like Nunez, actually. Physically strong, powerful, can play across the front line, but he can't score goals. He lost his scoring boot in Portugal. It's not a good thing. But back to the Jamaica team. Here's my concern, people. We don't want Greenwood. We need Greenwood. So what do I mean? So want is that you get a player who is good, but he's not exceptional. And this is not to knock any player in this team. The only player we have in this team who may be deemed exceptional is Andre Blake. The rest of the players are good, are very good. Some people may say Pinnock is bad. Pinnock is slowing down, but when we played the US and I watched the game, I was shocked at how we played. Like shocked. Like we look lost. Gyökeres or Sesko? Brian, I don't know. I'm glad not to make that decision. Gyökeres is about 26, 27. Played in the championship. Didn't come on until the last 2 years, even though he scored goal in the championship. He was in England for a while. Didn't make it there, went there. And you always have a slight bias when people come out of Portugal. Some have come out of Portugal and gone good. Look at the kid in midfield playing for, what's his name? Vitinha, whatever, playing for PSG. And Sesko scored about 20 goals this season. A player for a team doesn't score a ton of goals. So I don't know, actually. Gyökeres has scored almost a goal a game. But he's an old-time center forward. His hold-up play and his skills are not the greatest. He's quick, he's physical. Sesko is a more all-around player, have good assists. Sesko may be a better fit, but I think we may go Gyökeres because the new technical director, I think he's a Gyökeres fan. Yeah, Mr. Galaxy, that's the confusion, Mr. Look, what I know is the kid wants to play for Jamaica. That's all I know. Whatever he says in public is fine. So maybe you don't play in international football. And you're right about those comments, right? And they were in the English press. So I don't know. We get too much information from I think what we should do, people, is this. Let's stop talking about Greenwood, and yours truly is guilty of this. And just let's play himself out. So the question is, apart from Greenwood, which players you believe is missing from Unity Cup list? The Unity Cup list, or from the? You sure Unity Cup, Christopher? Or are you talking about from the provisional squad? Because Greenwood wouldn't play Unity Cup. He just played a long season. So let me know what you're talking about. Are you talking about Unity Cup or the provisional squad? If I think about the provisional squad, I thought of Tyrese Campbell from, where is he at? Sheffield? I thought he'd be progressing his papers, but from what I'm hearing, that's not going as one would expect. Max Aarons, is my understanding, is in that process, but obviously, process takes a while. As I said before at the outset, there's frustration in a lot of circles about the process. You hear me ask the question today, if you were listening to the press conference for the women's team, to the coach about the naturalization process, because I actually know, given some of the intelligence I've gotten, not necessarily through the JFL, but other parties, that, and I got some of this from England, from somebody the other day who had come from England, that the process, so let me be nice, sucks. That's the only word I can think about. Process sucks. Now, as I said before, that was not my experience. So I'm talking about my experience was, it's an easy process. I went to the place in New York on 3rd Avenue, when they were in 3rd Avenue, they moved now. It took a long time. I was there for like an hour and a half in a long line. Jamaica, I don't know if it cut line, a long line, but there were different queues. So when you go in, you're all in one line, and then you go to different queues based on what you're trying to achieve. Some people are renewing passport. I went to the area to get new citizenship and passport. Easy process. I think it cost like $200 something to get $100 something for citizenship, $100 something for passport. That's what I remember. That was last spring. And I think I filed in February. I got the papers in the summer. So there's 4 months between the point I put my information in. Now, I'm sure in the UK is different, because I hear people put their papers in the overseas in London, where the Jamaica consulate is, and they put them in there, and they never hear or see them again. They get lost. So I guess you could bring in the papers. I wasn't imported. I would agree with that. Oh, so Christopher wanted the provisional squad. Okay, Christopher. So as I've said before, Christopher, I would have loved to see Max Aarons in here, because I think he's going to add a lot of value. But apart from Max, and maybe the Tyrese Campbell who plays forward, I don't think there's a lot of players. Maybe Katamarti, who we rate, but he's very, very young. But I know he's coming off an injury, so he may not be considered. Greenwood, obviously. Jonathan Rowe, obviously. Which I'm very surprised he's not in the 60-man squad. May not have made the 23, but I thought he'd be in the 60-man squad. Ravel Morrison, I thought would have been considered, even though I shouldn't have, because if he wasn't called the last time around, the coach don't like him. Or the coach don't want him in his team. Even though, and Ravel may not have, here's the question, people. So the coach is influenced by you know who. I'm sure, did he influence him? I'm sure if he had influenced the coach about Ravel and how Ravel operate, because you hear stories when Ravel come, let's be honest, you hear stories. So I'm not sure Ravel's past has helped him with trying to get in this team. And who say Ravel wants to play anyway? I didn't expect Daniel Johnson. Let me say something, Texican. Some people get lost, right? They're in the team for a while, they're not in the team, and they just get lost. If they're not local, it's even worse. So I'm not surprised about Daniel Johnson. Shouldn't be surprised about Ravel. Jonathan Rowe is a strange one. Katamarti has been injured for a while. Max Aarons doesn't have his paper. John Bell, not surprised about. I don't know what Foster you're referring to. But here's the thing also about this. Any one of us, when any team is picked across any organization, whether it's a basketball, football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, so England picked their team. They always 3 or 4 players people are surprised are in the team, and they always 3 or 4 people are surprised are not in the team. That's how it works. Coach had their favorites. Coach picked Henderson, who's playing in Siberia. Sorry, he's playing in Holland. He was in Middle East. Everybody in England is surprised Henderson's in the team. Coach picked Rashford. People are shocked Rashford is in the team. Like, what are you talking about, coach? There are people who are better than him. But the coaches have their preferences. They need certain senior people in the team. It's 23-man roster. They can afford to take risks with 2 or 3 positions, and they will do so. So we shouldn't be surprised. Now, if it's 5, 6 out of 23, that's when you start to scratch your head. but we should be shocked that certain players are in a team that we are surprised about. And it's a 60-man squad. Now, when it gets down to 26 or 23, and we see 5, 6 who we didn't expect, that's more concerning. So the list I pick here, if most of these players are not in the team, we should be shocked. I'm not saying he does want to play Winston. I'm saying we don't know if he wants to play because he may be upset about the last call-up. We didn't get in the game. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on Ravel. It's obvious the coach is not thinking Ravel. He was the last call-up the last time the coach didn't play him. Even the game was lost, the coach didn't play him. There got to be something there. Dean Fraser said Rowe doesn't have passport. Okay. I don't know. I was told that he was in the process and it may have been done. Somebody told me that his club say he's a Jamaican international and he has Jamaica passports. I don't know. But I was also told by a good source that his reason for wanting the passport and citizenship may not be what we think it is. So the question is, was my Lewis Kelly rally on Jamaica radar? No, I don't know about that one. But I know some of the players who are much younger. Not much younger. I know some of the players who are similar age who's on the radar, but they're being blocked by their agent. Let me just say it that way. So that's another thing too, people. Think about any Jamaican, let me just put it this way. Think about any Jamaicans who are playing in the Premier League, who are a very young age. Quite a them have been approached. The agent probably tell them, are you out of your mind? England may call you. You're playing for a big team, England may call you. So you can think about what that list will entail. Don't make any decision. England may call you. England will call you. Just be patient. Yeah. Agents are the biggest factor to me. Agents are saying to the clients, you play for England, that may be worth $3-4 million. You play for Jamaica, it may be $200,000. Why would you play for Jamaica? Right? Plus, you got to fly to Jamaica all the time. Plus, they may not appreciate you. Plus, there's people like Ravel and how they complain about Jamaica and what has transpired. Not complain, but they express certain concern about the amenities that are there and the facilities that are there and how difficult CONCACAF may be. You never know. So we can speculate, but we can also say that it's not as straightforward as we think it is. Speaking in parables is a good thing, Christopher Wisdom. You go do your research, Christopher Wisdom. Go look across I told you, go look across the EPL for those young Jamaicans playing, and some of them have been approached. Okay? Some of them have been approached. That's a fact. Because when I see a name, first thing I see, people, here's what I do. I look at the players, I look at their complexion, nice, and look at their name, and I'm like, most players you see in the EPL who come to the English Academy nowadays are from Africa or the Caribbean. Most of them are Jamaicans, because Jamaicans were the one who populated England in the late 50s, 60s, like my parents, XYZ, right? Nowadays, you have a lot of Nigerians who migrated over. And then you have Ghanaians too who have come over. But it's still Jamaicans are a big number. And then what happens is, a lot of them put their kids through the academies. So if they're now matriculating to the Premier League and they have the traditional names, like if I hear Iwobi or Lookman, I ain't looking for no Jamaican. If I hear Riley, or if I hear Matthews, or if I hear Trevor, if I hear those names, then I'm looking at those names. So the names have evolved over time. Because then sometimes there's interracial marriages, because I have never seen a city like London that have so much interrace relationships. Never. I mean, it's amazing, especially Jamaican man them and people of other persuasion. The numbers are startling. Startling. Like, go to London and look at people in a relationship. The numbers are startling. So you may, and some of the women now have obviously matriculated to other persuasion because they can't find any man who of their persuasion who they may want to be with because they're dealing with other people. You guys can interpret what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have names which are different, right? Who's California Wisdom? Wisdom, who's California? But the fact of the matter is this: is that come on, chorus. There are a lot of people from London is a very interracial city. It's a very mixed city. It's a very diverse city. It's a very diverse city, and people commingle there. They commingle, and Jamaican men love to commingle. Winston, you can't force anything out of me. Don't go around. Don't try to pressure me to give you information. I'm not going to give you information because I'm not. Here's why I'm not giving you information. It is my understanding, and here's why. And some fans don't like this. It's my understanding that as soon as we mention a name in public forum, and the English FA hear about it, they start knocking the player's door and tell them, "Don't consider it. You're in the pipeline. Just be patient." And then they do with Hutchinson and Kadamarchi, they call them to the under 18 or under 21, however it is. That's what happened. There's a war for talent. We're the only ones that realize that there's a war. We live in another world. We're trying to have quotas. Here's where we should work, people. And here's this to the JFF. Hey, JFF, if you want to have quota, you know what your quota should be? Do like England does with quota, for example. But there's a reason why they do it the way they do it. So England has a quota about having to have 8 players. And they don't have to be English either, because Martinelli is not English. 8 players who sort of came through the English process at a certain age who have to be in the 25-man squad, right? So in essence, you can have 17 players who haven't gone through the process and are not English, right? 8 players. But none of those players have to be a starter on the team either. So you see a lot of teams in England have no English person starting the team. Arsenal now have a few, in terms of Rice and Saka and Ben White. But I want sometime when Wenger was there, sometime you had limited or no English players on the team. There's some players who fielded no English players. And the better teams want to buy the best English players because they want to have that association. Lewis Baker is in the squad, Sylvester Whittingham. You don't see it? Or he's not in my list? Lewis Baker is here, number 16 on my list. Lewis Baker is here. He's in the squad. He's in a 60-man and he'll be in a team. Lewis Baker is quality. Defensively, he's not the greatest, but offensively, he's very, very good. Free kick specialist, score goals, get assists. Yeah, this coach can't say what he wants to say. The coach didn't talk to Pika. No, he ain't get 6. So how many he has here? How much I have on my list? I have Mothersill. I have Tyrese Campbell. I have Lewis Baker. I have Tyrese Hall. That's 4. But Tyrese didn't need no papers. I don't have John. I've got the feeling that Johnson from Ajax, the 18-year-old, that he's probably, if he plays, here's my view. If he's in the Unity Cup and he plays well, he's also a consideration, right? If you get an 18-year-old who captain Ajax under 21, and if he's playing really well, he's a consideration. So he has 4 new ones? He doesn't have 6. Now, Max Aarons and Greenwood make it 6. Doesn't have 6. And there's another player too who I mentioned who would also be going through the process. Who's a good player, defender. Actually, he would be a starter when he's fit, frankly. Probably give him the team now, a no-brainer starter. I think Lewis Baker. What's Lewis Baker? Is that Lewis about 29? He's up there. He's up there in age. He's up there in age. He's up there, but his profile is not his profile, but his Give me 1 second, people. His if you look at his goal contribution, I think he's a 1 in 3 player. That's hard to do as a midfielder, you know. Odegaard is not 1 in 3. He's a 1 in 3 player. Dean Fraser, you're right about that. I'm gonna leave that one alone, Dean Fraser. I'm gonna just say this. I'm not touching that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. He's coming. I won't touch that one, Dean Baker. There's some. Well, how do I do this and get myself in trouble? There's some things you don't touch, Dean Baker. There's some things you just leave alone. Okay, 28. Okay, I thought he was about 29. I thought it was 29. My mystery defender is not young, but he's good. He's not young, but he's good. He'll be a starter. But no, Dean Fraser. You have some things that don't Dean Fraser, just left it Dean Fraser, you know, touch it, you run or leave it. Right? But anyway, I didn't think he was coming anytime. I was told he's not coming in anytime soon by a good source, and then the source said, him there. I find that interesting. What's the purpose of what list? This is my, okay, you come late, Christopher. You come late to our question. I took 23 from the 60-man squad list, Christopher, to give my perspective on who I think the 23 going to be for the Gold Cup. Because I think the Gold Cup maybe allow you between 23 and 26 players. I think we'll bring 23, 2 for each position, maybe 1 extra goalkeeper. And some people are versatile, the coach like versatile players. So these are the 23 I expect to be there. And as I said, if the 23 are not here, if the coach pick different players, I may expect him to not bring Holgate, even though we need a center back, Casey Palmer, because he could be replaced by Johnson, and Shamar, who has not been informed. The rest of the players I expect to be here. See, I didn't have Dixon because I think if you play Dixon over Tyrese, that doesn't make any sense to me. Marlon, how you doing, Marlon? You have to do a show with me one day, no, Marlon. You might need to do a show. So let me know when you're available to do a show with me. What Arsenal player? What Arsenal player, Tito? So Marlon, let me know when you do a show, Marlon. We should do a player. We should do a show together. How do you like my list, Marlon? Here's my projected list, Marlon, for the 23 man squad. We got 60 people. It's a lot of people. I didn't know Honduras have 60 players. I didn't mean not say that. I was looking at Honduras 60-man squad. Well, Jamaica got 60. And Jamaica have a lot of local players in the 60. Okay. Source can never refer to as good when information is incorrect. The information is not incorrect. Winston, facts and circumstances change, right? It wasn't incorrect information. In fact, the information was pretty accurate at the inception of the process. Sometimes things just change. We know how the process works. Sometimes facts and circumstances change and you're shocked something worked out, right? I probably would say Trump would never be president. He's a divisive factor. He's a liar. He became president in 2016. And everybody say he'd never be president. Things change. The polls say he's not going to be president. He became president. This is another situation. Shocking. To me, this one is like, from what I was told, it's shocking. But it's also not shocking, if you know what I mean. It's shocking, but it's not shocking. But we should move on from that. So what Sandra says, please give that Andy for June 4th when the official roster is announced, the way we can check your person accuracy. Thank you. Okay, that's a good point, actually. I'll keep this list. You know what? Let me make sure it's saved. I'm going to keep my list. And we also talk about the ones that I thought may not be. You know what? I'm going to put an asterisk beside the ones, even though I think the coach will keep some of these players, actually. I don't even think the asterisk even works. Because the coach likes certain players. He likes experience. So the ones here I have doubt about, but the coach seems to like. And the ones I think should be added. So I'm going to put asterisk beside Shamar. These are the ones I think may not make it. What else I had? I had Mason. I had Casey. I had Shamar. And some ones I think may get in the squad based on how they do in Unity Cup. I think Johnson from Ajax is a possibility. And he's in 60-man squad. Those are the ones I think, actually. Now, some people may say, where are the JPL players? I don't know what to tell you. I don't see them. Let's look at these people. Isaac, Lewis Baker, Tyrese, Damari. I think a lot of these players, not Tyrese, for example, but Damari Gray, Liam Bailey, Cephas, Mothersill, Brown, they sort of pick themselves. Then Tyrese Hall doesn't pick himself, but I think he's quality. Give him all the accolades he's given and perception of people who know football. Yeah, most of these players will be here. There may be a few. The ones that asterisk may not be in the squad. A lot of people are not happy with Mason Holgate, even though I'm getting beaten by Chris about Mason. But Mason hasn't played well for Jamaica, let's be honest. Casey Palmer's had a few good games, even though he may play well for Hull. And Shamar's out of form. Yeah, the JPL League is challenged. But anyway, I'm going to close the stream down because I'm almost at my 2 hours. I want to thank you for being here. It's been awesome. If you want me to do another stream tonight, let me know. I'll do one in 15, 20 minutes. But I got to close it down before 2 hours. That's my cutoff point. So we can do another show in the next 15, 20 minutes if you want and finish this up. But I think we have exhausted all of this, right? I don't want to be here just to be here sake. So thanks for being here. You can text me and tell me if you wanna have a continuation. But I think this is good. The squad will not be 26. I'll just say that. Why you need 26? You need 2 people for each position. We bring some players who never get to see the light of day. But thanks for being here. Appreciate you being here. If you want another show, let me know and I'll do one in 15 minutes, right? We can do a call-in show in 15 minutes, just a call-in show. But if you want me to do call-in show, you have to call in. You can't go do call-in show, you're not calling. All right, people? So text, even though I'm closing on the stream, you can still text and tell me. If we see more than 10 say yes, 10 on my cutoff number, then I'll do another show. Okay, I will do another show. All right? Thanks. I won't say good evening because I may be coming back. All right? Bless. Kranky life is the best to be now. For the best sports talk and it's free, yo. Kranky life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Kranky life, tell them. Kranky life, heed them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. From the coast to the field, we'll never lose because Kranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Kranky life, tell them. Kranky life, heed them. Kranky life, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Kranky life, get to know the name because Kranky analysis is never lame. Kranky life, give me my Kranky life. I want my Kranky life. Must have my Kranky life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Kranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and debate and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Kranky life. Tell them, Kranky life. Heed them, Kranky life. Want them, Kranky life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Kranky Live. Tune into Kranky Live. Like up Kranky Live. Subscribe to Kranky Live. Kranky Live coming to you on weekdays. Kranky Live sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Kranky will always bring the heat. Kranky Live. Me say fi tell them Kranky life. Me say fi heed them Kranky life. On them Kranky life. Kranky life will be around. Kranky life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Heed them. Want them. Heed them. Want them, Kranky life. Kranky life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Kranky life. Kranky life. Kranky. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed, want, heed them.